G'day, Dave Galt here. Question's been asked, uh, what's involved in processing a single chord observation? Lots of chatter. I thought I'd demonstrate what's involved. So I will share my screen and clean up the rubbish. Right. Somebody makes an observation. In this case, it's going to be one of mine rather than I feature somebody else's observation. And I do my own analysis and I bundle up a whole heap of files and I email the files to the Trans-Tasman Minor Planet Report Centre. That's looked after by Steve Kerr. So if I drag that over here, the observation I am going to feature, that's simply my email. Hi Steve, one positive and one negative to report. And Steve has responded, thanks Dave, SK. So that's a lot of correspondence. Steve then puts the information in two places. Let me show you. He updates the Trans-Tasman Occultation Alliance results page, which is there, and the event I'm going to look at, there's the cursor thing, is fairly recent. So Steve creates this list here, and this is the observation I'm going to look at now. It's actually a Jupiter Trojan, which is, I like those. So Hristo Pavlov observed a miss. I observed a positive, and Steve has put my light curve up onto the Trans-Tasman results page. So very nice. So that's one thing Steve does. Not quite sure how long that takes. And he also loads all the relevant files from myself and Hristo into we share a OneDrive folder. So there it is, the Trans-Tasman Occultation Alliance. It was part of, or still is actually, part of the Royal Astronomical Society of New Zealand occultation section. So we go in and that's the event there. So Steve creates a folder for all the events observed in this case, November. There's the folder for this particular event. And there's the files. There's Hristo's miss observation, my light curve, which you saw earlier, my aorta analysis, my actual report spreadsheet, blah, blah, blah. And don't save. And the Tangra light curve. Everybody submits a Tangra light curve that uses Tangra. So that's the Tangra light curve, and we can do reprocessing and so on and so forth if we need to. So that's the bundle of files that I get per observation. So you can pick another one. There we go. And there's Graham Mackay's observations. Bill Hanna's observation there. So we're looking at this, KW2. Now, I think I'm the only person in the world that does this. But I check every single observation, positive observation. I check that all the data has been submitted and in the folder ready for analysis by checking Occult Watcher. So Occult Watcher, events, and it's the November 26th, and the asteroid is 69437. Look up. There it is there. Come on. And I take a screenshot for my own. Well, here it is here. So Aristos had a miss. Peter had a no observation. He had he's having problems with his telescope. And I've observed a 1.3 second occultation. I enter the cadence value in my comments, and I write down the signal to noise here because the app that converts from the report spreadsheet doesn't always pick up my signal to noise value for some reason. I don't know why. So I take a screenshot of that, and simply by that, and I save it in the folder along with everything else. KW2. Just all you need to do is type it 2, pick a file, any one, and I rename it OWC. Now I do this obviously to make sure I've got all the observations, which I do have. There's been several cases where a person's observation has not been put in the file ready for processing, so that brings the process to a halt, and I have to go and chase up the observer. Sometimes their report data has been lost in the email system, or they've simply forgot to send it. They've several times, one particular observer who won't be named, Willie Dave Herald, has done all the process, created all the files, and just simply forgot to send the email. So don't need that anymore, and I don't need that anymore. But so I also keep the file in the folder to remind myself that I've done this due diligence to make sure I've got all the data by having the file present in the file. So I can look at that whenever I like, and I don't have to go online. So we've got all the data we need. Here's Haristo's report, and there's my report. How do we get them into the format for Occult? Occult requires them in an XML format. That's easy. Thanks to Steve Preston, we have a little app here called ASTREPTOXML. That's so. That's the file. That's the app there, version 24. So import all the files. So I point at the folder and the two report forms. Load them into the app, and all you do now is save all reports, and it automatically comes up with the correct format XML file. So save. So there's the correct format that Occult can read. Now, before I go, I should have created the CSV file. So I'll do that now. There's the right. All we need to do now is export CSV file as text CSV. There it is there. Done. That's so that we can create the Vizier report. So we're ready to open Occult. There's Occult. And asteroid observations. There's the editor. Right, open the file. And KW2. There's the file that we just looked at. Give it a couple of seconds to figure itself out. So there's my disappearance, there's my reappearance, there's Haristo's miss. Easy peasy. Haristo hasn't got a full located near up to specification. Must talk to him about it. So I put in comma. He lives in St Clair, comma, New South Wales, and he's in Australia, AU. Plus I delete this rubbish here. Replace. Yep. And as I said before, for some reason, the conversion program, only mine, doesn't pick up the signals noise 5.2, and I delete it from here. Don't know why. Replace. Okie dokie. We don't need this anymore, so I might put that down there. Now, we need to run the prediction, so we can get a prediction line in here. And sip my coffee. Okay. So let's run the prediction. Listed it in the list and display. Check it's only one star involved, so sometimes there's several stars to choose from. Check the number 7346, 7346. So that's on my computer. The map pops up on the other. I run two monitors. So there's the map. There we are on the eastern seaboard of Australia. So all we need to do is hit F11 to bring up the list of coordinates. And because it's predominantly in this particular case, a west to east path, I've got the positive and my longitude is there. So we just scroll down to 150 and a half. Right click and copy the prediction line and paste it into the report. Voila. Where is it? So zoom out again. There it is there. So that was a lucky observation for myself. Very happy about that. It's actually a Jupiter Trojan. Did I mention that? So without further ado, it's a single chord event. Haristo's chord is not constraining, so there's nothing more to do other than to fit the quality standard. So in this particular case, it's a astrometry only observation, and we save it. Saved. I take a picture. I like to a screenshot, I should say, of this form, and I also like to include the prediction so that you can get an idea of the relationship. So plot, save the entire form, put it in the right hole, KW2. Not the right format. I just use the same format as the XML file. So it's just type a 2 and change from XML to PNG. PNG, save. One final thing to do, make sure it's clicked on the positive chord, which in this case is me. Right click, and we'll create a Vizier light curve. Go and get the file again, KW2. There's my CSV file. It was a 2-frame stack. So left click on the first one of the bunch, right click on the second. So not 2 frames in the integration. I like point by point for the background. I click OK. Turn off the other stars just for fun, and I give it about 30 seconds. 28. 30.9, that's good enough. Save the report, save the light curve report, and that is just about it. I save it again just because I'm pedantic. Save. And what I do, there it is. So now the light curves, Vizier light curves goes in the light curve folder. I cut, paste, and then these 3 files are bundled up in batches of in monthly batches. Monthly batches from our part of the world could be as many as 85 separate events in winter, but in summer it could drop as low as 8 to 10. They're bundled up in batches by month and sent to Dave Herald. Simple as that. End of story. What I've got here for November, all these files here are waiting on 2 files that are incomplete. So I didn't run a clock to see how long that took, but couldn't have been any more than 5 minutes with me talking away. So that's it. That's how you do create an OBS file for occult. Simple as that. Right, get rid of occult. I think it's important to keep to take a snapshot of using the Occult Watcher as a notice board. In this particular case, I've got 2 files here that I've as I mentioned, are incomplete. This one here dates from August, and luckily Bill Hanna noticed that one of his observations hadn't been processed and it was lost in the email. And at the same time, John Newman has simply forgot to send the observation report. So when Bill found out that his observation hadn't been processed, he sent an email to Steve Kerr, and he loaded the. Let me have a look. He loaded the file into August and sent me an alert. What was the number again? 825 Chloris. And as soon as I did the looked at the Occult Watcher screen, I thought, oh, there's John Newman has observed a 5-second occultation, but it's not in the report. So I sent an email to John Newman saying, "Where's your report, mate?" So it's a critical, in my opinion, it's a critical part of the process that should be followed. Anyway, personal opinion. Okay, that's about it. I'm going to stop now, stop the record, stop the share, and stop the recording. Bye for now. Dave out.